back. I now recognize Representative Maloy from the great state of Utah for 5 minutes.
First of all, I just want to thank the witnesses for being here, and I apologize that I've had to be in and out a couple of times. I testified in front of a committee once, and I spent a lot of time preparing, and the members came in and out, and I found it kind of irritating. So I apologize that that's been me today. I think I'm going last, right, Mr. Chair? One more? Okay, so I don't have to. No, I'm good. I just wanted to know if I need to wrap it up or if I can build. Okay, so I feel like I talk about the same things a lot in this committee, but what we're here talking about isn't necessarily what the First Amendment says, but what the proper roles of government agencies are. And this is a small business committee, and the reason we're talking about it here and not in oversight or judiciary right now is because we've got government entities that are acting outside of their proper role, and it's having a negative impact on Main Street businesses in the United States of America. And that's something I think we should all find troubling, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum. And so I do have questions, but I want to be clear when I start asking questions that that's where I'm coming from. That's what we're talking about here, is what role the government should be playing in picking winners and losers in the free market. So, Mr. Weingarten, I want to start with you because you talked about something that I want to give you a little bit more time to follow up on. So, we are talking about foreign-facing agencies, easy for me to say, that are supposed to be giving ratings to disinformation coming from other nations, correct?
That's correct.
And now they're using those authorities to do what?
They're using those authorities effectively to attempt to cripple the business models of disfavored media companies, U.S.-based media companies included.
So we're not really talking about government speech and what is and isn't allowed. We're talking about these specific agencies have authorities and they're acting outside of those authorities. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's how I see it, and not to speak, but to suppress others' speech.
Yeah, and it's not just about saying what somebody can or can't say, but they give a rating, and based on that rating, somebody may or may not be able to get sponsors.
That's correct.
So as a politician, I know how hard it is to get your message out in front of people. And as a member of Congress, I kind of have a naturally built-in platform. In fact, I'm using it right now. But for a Main Street business, if they get a negative rating because of their conservative views, that can have a real impact on their ability to get their product in front of customers. Not necessarily a government program or government policy, but we're talking about Main Street businesses struggling to get their products in front of people because they hold a view that's unpopular with a government agency. Am I off base here?
No, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm most of the way through my time. I just want to, before I'm done, give each of you three a chance. Is there anything you wanted to say today that no one's asked you the right question to get you to say?
The First Amendment says that the government shall not abridge the freedom of speech, abridge. So the government should not be using its power to censor ideas, whether it's through coercion, collusion, any of those means. I think that's the most important principle that I want to put forth.
I agree. That's also how they taught it in my law school.
It's notable that in the opinion that came down today, there's a footnote in the majority's opinion which says, because we do not reach the merits, we express no view as to whether the Fifth Circuit correctly articulated the standard for when the government transforms private conduct into state action. So it is not a ruling on the merits, but the court's silence on the merits, I think, speaks to the imperative for legislative action to be taken, because the courts are not necessarily going to provide a panacea on this issue.
Yeah. Ms. Sheffield?
Yes. Being from Utah, great to connect with you. My ancestors helped found Salt Lake City.
Wonderful.
So I mentioned earlier in my remarks about the, I think, staggering ratio of 8-to-1 when we're talking about State Department employees donating to Democrats by an 8-to-1 margin versus Republicans. To me, this begs the question, to what extent is the unelected bureaucracy of the Politburo of the State Department and other government agencies, to what extent do these unelected bureaucrats shape what happens in terms of these funds and government taxpayer money for projects like the University of Cambridge Social Decision Making Lab, the Moonshot CVE, the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Labs? Who elected these bureaucrats at the State Department and other agencies to take my tax dollars, your tax dollars, the people, my cousins and uncles in Utah, their tax dollars to fund these suppressive activities? I don't
know if you're allowed to question me, but the answer is nobody elected. And I'm going to just cut you off so I can use the rest of my time to point out, since you brought up Salt Lake City, that it was settled by people who were running from the government telling them they couldn't exercise their First Amendment rights. So this isn't the first time this has happened. It is important, and having this hearing is bedrock important to what we do as Americans. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Yields back. I now recognize Representative